Good morning. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Friday live question and answer class. We meet every week to take your questions about American accent training. And so I'm welcoming you here this morning. I'm glad to see you. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about my 30-day accent challenge that we've been doing right now. Some of you may be following the challenge and participating. We have a live broadcast every day for 30 days, and we have just a few days left of the challenge. If you missed the challenge and you'd like to get started, don't worry, you can catch all of the past classes on the playlist. Go to my channel page and find the 30-day accent challenge playlist. And also you can go to my website, speechmodification.com, where I have practice exercises for every day of the challenge. So you can get additional video materials, you can get audio recordings for practice, and you can read the details that we talked about in the classes. So we've been talking about pronunciation, accent error patterns, intonation, some very detailed talk about some things, and some very general things, teaching you how to practice, giving you quick tips for every day. So I hope you find that useful, and I hope you can join me for the next few days for the remainder of the challenge. Tomorrow in the challenge, we're going to be talking about using YouTube and other media to help work on your American accent. So I'm going to give you some tips for that. Hello, Pascal. So he's asking about sometimes, sorry, just one moment, I've lost you. Sometimes I overpronounce the R. Is it like the dark L and the simple L, or there's no such thing for the R? That's a great question. So I think what you'll find, Pascal, is that when you're working on using an American R, it's not a natural tongue position for you yet to use that back R. And so initially it may, in order to get the correct position to do the R, you may have kind of a strong R sound when you're speaking in fluent speech. Don't worry, as you get a new motor habit for that R, you won't be able to work so hard to get the R sound, and it should lighten up. There isn't really a dark and a light R like there is for the L sound, although there are some differences when the R is in the middle and ends of words versus at the beginning of the word, just because when R is in the middle and at the end, it's a vowel controlled R. Basically, the vowels around the R change the R sound a little bit. So for example, in the word work, it's simply an work. There's no additional vowel. But in the word ear, I have to move from the E to the ear. And I do what's called vowel to vowel linking there, where between the E and the I have kind of a y sound, ear. And so that is similar to the L, where we add the schwa before the L at the ends of words, like feel. Same thing, I'm moving from the E to a different vowel sound or to an approximate. And so I have to use that y sound. You can find more about that in my vowel to vowel linking video. That might help you clear up some of your questions about the R. And just keep practicing in repeated phrase practice and trying to have that new American R come more naturally. And I think that you'll get there and it won't be so overpronounced. So thank you for the question, and please go ahead and ask other questions, other viewers, if you have them. I'm going to continue talking about the 30-day challenge, but I will stop to answer your questions as they come in. So as I was saying, tomorrow in the challenge, we're going to be looking at how to use YouTube, TV, and movies to work on your American accent. And many of you do this already, I'm sure. You're watching me on YouTube. But I'm talking about not watching lessons and specific practice. You're welcome, Pascal. But how to use just general entertainment for your American accent. So we'll go through some details about that, tips for using it for pronunciation and for intonation and for overall immersion in American English. I also have, besides the 30-day challenge, I have some online courses that you can get a free trial of. So if you're interested in kind of going more systematically through the American accent training, go to my website and go to my courses page. You can get a free trial of any of the courses. You can look at American Accent Training for Professionals, which is a comprehensive course and walks you through the steps of working on your American accent. You can also try out my free mini course that you can do the whole course for free, and that gives you some tips and ideas similar to what you see here on YouTube. I also offer a free consultation, so I do work with people one-on-one for individual training. If you'd like to know more about that, go to my website, contact me, and we'll arrange a time to speak about your accent, to give you some feedback, and tell you about training options. You may want to take a free screening, get some feedback on what is it exactly that I have in my accent and what should I be working on, and I offer that as a free screening for everyone. Pascal's wondering about the SMART course that he's taking and whether there will be new lessons added. It is a set course and everything is complete there, although occasionally I have some new and additional ideas to add, so I'll let you know if there's updated content. I have been revamping and adding some new courses, and as I add those new courses, I am supplementing the SMART course and adding some additional materials, including we're going to be in the near future adding more quizzes and more feedback practice so that you can check on your knowledge and see what you've learned. So good question. Okay, so back to the 30-day challenge. In my 30 days, I'm highlighting videos and playlists where you can find information about the various lessons, and you can also go and get materials each day on the website, as I said. Join me for the Friday classes to answer your questions about the accent training, and I will look forward to the next few days of that, and we'll continue with Friday question and answer classes even after the challenge is finished. So I always like to give you a quick tip in my broadcast, something that you can use right away to work on improving your American accent. And today our quick tip is a sneak preview of tomorrow's class. Question about, I've been studying the IPA and I'm familiar with most sounds, but when I read aloud, I sound like a fourth grader, and I hate that. Any advice? Okay, so probably as you're reading, you are really carefully pronouncing the sounds. And what you may find is that based on what you're describing, it sounds to me like you feel like you're not very fluent as you're reading aloud. Maybe you're not connecting words the way Americans do. Maybe you don't have the intonation patterns that Americans have. So you might be, you might find my Real Talk videos helpful. And in the Real Talk videos, what I do is I take the written text and I show you how spoken speech, good. I show you how spoken speech differs from written text. And so, yes, when we're reading aloud, we tend to use slightly different pronunciation than when we're speaking, but we still do the same kinds of fluent, connected patterns when we're reading aloud. So go to my Real Talk playlist, and what you'll see is I've taken the words and I've marked intonation patterns, and I've marked where we connect words and where we reduce sounds. So I've done that in those Real Talk videos for short phrases. That's a good place to start. And then for longer passages. And what you'll find is that as you're reading aloud, you'll become better at chunking thought groups, knowing where to pause, knowing how to rise and fall in intonation. So those are probably the things that you still need to work on to sound more like a native speaker when you're reading aloud. Another thing I would suggest is that I have a client right now who is using audiobooks and written texts to work on his accent and to develop an ear. And the nice thing about that is that he can listen to the narrator on the audiobook. So a lot of times those are actors, people who have really very nice reading aloud abilities. And he can look at the written text of the book. So he listens to the audiobook and then he pauses and he tries it himself with the written text. I think the trade-off between pronunciation and fluent speech is that when we're really focused on pronunciation, sometimes we, in order to be accurate on all of the sounds, we don't sound as smooth. So I always tell people, yes, pay attention to the end sounds of words, make sure you're pronouncing vowels and everything correctly, but you'll find that you sound more choppy if you're trying to get all of the sounds. And so once you are pretty confident in your IPA and in your pronunciation, then you need to start working on those elements of connected speech. So check out my Real Talk videos. I also have a playlist called Linking and Reduced Sounds, which addresses some of those issues as well. So hopefully that will help you. Good question. Thank you. Okay, so we were talking about a sneak preview of tomorrow's Accent Challenge class, and I'm just going to give you a quick tip that when you're watching videos on YouTube or movies or TV, that it's a great idea to, if you're watching something in English, to turn on the English subtitles or the closed captioning in English, because pronunciation and intonation patterns can actually improve if you're reading along with what you're hearing. There's been research to show that the details of pronunciation and what you're hearing is improved by reading and following along. So check that out. Tomorrow I'll give you some more details on that in the 30-day challenge class, but that's my quick tip for today, that you can be working on your American accent even when you're just relaxing and watching a show or watching a movie. All right, thank you for being here today. Feel free to ask questions in the comments on this video or any of my videos, and I'll get back to you with the answer, and I'll direct you to, you're very welcome, I'll direct you to where you can find those resources on my channel page and on my website. And I look forward to seeing you again next Friday for our live Friday question and answer. I'm Christine Dunbar. Remember, if you want to sound American, you can do it. SpeechModification.com.